You feel it every Sunday, the unsettling sense that you're spiritually starving in a place that once fed you, and here's the truth no one dares to say out loud. Sometimes, God will allow discomfort to grow where you once felt at home, not to punish you, but to provoke a move. When your spirit begins to crave depth while the sermons stay shallow, when you long for conviction but keep getting comfort, that's not rebellion, it's revelation. One hidden sign you're outgrowing your church is when the word being preached no longer stretches your soul, and instead of leaving convicted or equipped, you leave frustrated or numb, wondering if something's wrong with you. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. God is shifting your appetite, and like Hebrews 5 verse 12 says, you're ready for meat, but they keep handing you milk. Another shocking sign is when your questions feel too heavy for the room, and bringing them up only leads to silence, side eyes, or shallow answers. You begin to notice that tradition is louder than transformation, that performance is prioritized over presence, and that what once felt like family now feels like routine. The Holy Spirit will sometimes dry up old wells to drive you to deeper waters, and if you're being spiritually suffocated, it might be because you've grown past the assignment of that house. Some people won't understand your hunger because they're content being entertained, but you've been called to be equipped. You feel the tension in worship. Songs once stirred your spirit but now feel scripted, as if God is absent from what's still being performed in His name. You're not crazy, you're being called. Another hidden sign is when your gifts are ignored or even suppressed, and instead of being trained to operate in what God placed inside you, you're told to sit quietly, wait your turn, or just serve where needed. But the kingdom doesn't operate on politics, it moves by obedience. If God has been awakening something deeper in you, prophetic dreams, spiritual authority, bold prayers, and your environment shrinks when you speak, that's a red flag. The enemy loves to keep chosen vessels in stagnant spaces under the illusion of loyalty, but delayed obedience is still disobedience, and staying where God has moved on from is spiritual sabotage. There's also a sacred loneliness that comes when you're outgrowing a church. It's the feeling that even though you're surrounded by believers, no one sees the battle you're really fighting. That loneliness is the wilderness calling you to a higher mountain. Moses didn't stay in Egypt just because he was raised there. Jesus left the temple not because he dishonored it, but because the Spirit led him elsewhere. Romans 8 verse 14 says those led by the Spirit are sons of God, not those led by comfort, culture, or fear. So if your spirit is stirring, your heart feels restless, and you can't fake the fire anymore, that's not backsliding. It's birthing. God is calling you into something new, and that transition will feel like tension before it feels like peace. This is your warning. Don't ignore the signs just because they're uncomfortable. A growing spirit cannot stay buried in a system that refuses to grow. If you've been praying for clarity, this is it. Your restlessness is divine. Your hunger is holy. And if you stay stuck where God is no longer moving, you'll miss the move He designed you to lead.